5T66. Morning everyone. So you can tell by the title, it's quite a controversial thing online. If you Google it, there ain't a lot about it. So basically we've got an existing garage circuit that powers some lighting. It's a typical new build where they wire a 2.5 armoured twin and earth through the house to a box on the outside, run a small armoured up to a fuse connection unit, and they either run it through so the sockets can run through and you're not limited to 13 amps, and they just fuse the light into a 3 amp fuse. So what we're doing today is we're going to come off of that circuit, add in, you'll see when I do it, we're going to add in a socket, a couple of free sockets, and then the client wasn't sure. He wanted 3, but I'm not sure yet until I get there where the other ones actually go in. So I could just midpoint tee this off, but it's kind of bad practice. So what I'm going to do is make it a true radial, split where it comes from the house to the garage, split it there, run it off to a socket and then back, and then connect it through. So we've got a true radial, so we know the start and the end point, rather than teeing off and then someone could add extra sockets to it and you'd end up with this radial. I know it's on a 16 amp, but it's not good practice, is it? Let's all be honest. So we'll go to the job, we'll have a look around, and we'll crack on. Right, here we are. Garage supply is supplied from the house via a 16mm. Let's take that off. Haven't looked in here yet. Okay, 2.5 twin and earth, and then jumps onto an armoured, which feeds. Make that safe. Which comes in the garage, comes up here. Did well to glam that into a plastic box, didn't they? So it comes up to there. That is then just a double pole switch, and then the lights are fused down. And then I'm not sure if that actually kills the whole garage, which I presume it will do. That will fuse the lights. And then it literally feeds one light, one double socket. So what we're going to do, as it's a 16 amp radial, so it's perfectly fine, we're going to put another double socket here. We're going to put waterproof, why not? That's what we've got. So we'll use that. It was going to go on the outside, but it's now going to go in here. So one's going to go there. We're also going to add a double socket here, and then rather than teeing off of a radial, which you shouldn't do, we're going to run 2 armoureds down, low level, clipped to a new socket over there. So yeah, we're going to break the circuit here, extend it, bring it back, and effectively connect it onto there. So we'll get set up and we'll crack on. So I'm going to lock off with one of these. You get a little screwdriver in the kit, and then you can put a lock on it. I've got some little locks. If not, I will just put one of those on it for now, and then put a couple of cable ties through there. The client's not going to go in there and cut it off, all right? Bloody hay fever. Live neutral, live and earth. And then we check the tester. Right. Come on, baby. There you go. Right, proven dead, it's locked off. Right, so first thing I'm going to do is work in here, disconnect this. Obviously the neutral and the earth are still connected in at the house, so if you was to touch them together, you trip off the corresponding RCD. That's the one fault with the dual RCD boards. Look. I'm going to check that end if he's earthed it. If not, then he hasn't earthed this bit of armour, does he? That's controversial, Chris. Anyway, disconnect here, take this box off, reglam that into my socket, and then we can work away, okay? All right, I've taken the screws out. I've not checked yet because it's builds a little bit of suspense for me. If you have a look. So, yeah, the whole thing is switched via here. Okay, so even the socket, and then it's fused down the light in, and then that 2.5 will just run up and then run over to that socket over there. Yeah, so it's an unearthed armoured again, isn't it? So it was actually pointless having an armoured cable because it wasn't doing anything, that outer sheath. So we'll have to earth that in that box end, right? And then it will earth all our bits of armoured down. So new socket is mounted. Armoured is now cleated rather than clipped with a plumber's clip. And then I'll show you a little trick with bolting these together. Then we'll have to run a fly lead off of this one to the socket. No problem. So it just saves you buying with them expensive piranha things, which are good in this, you know, in different circumstances. But in this circumstance, we can use the original earthing strap, banjo, whatever you want to call it, and bolt it through. Okay. Yeah, it's going all right. So using the waterproof gland with a little nut on the back there that tightens up. It's got a rubber seal. So I'm just cleating my armours in, keeping them as neat as possible, low level. That's all you can do really in this situation. Then I'll probably hoover up, not hoover, I'll get the hose and wash all this down after. Oh, job is going absolutely fine. I've got really bad hay fever today. It's affecting me like mad. Oh, I put my glasses on, I think. Oh. Yeah, I've got one more socket to do. I've got the one in the garage to do. I'll set you up on a time lapse for that. Earthing all the SWAs through, and then connect up, and then we'll do some testing. I'll show you a bit. Go back a few videos, you see me doing a lot of testing. Same principle, it's just a new circuit. It should test out absolutely fine. It's a new build, so I don't even think it's a year old, but yeah, they've installed BG, which is fine, it all complies. But oakley dokley, right, my SWAs are now coming in to my socket. They're glanded, okay, and the earth path is continuous. I use a nylock bolt with a little 10mm, it's a 10mm long, 6mm thread with a 10mm long. And then people moan about me taping up, but I'm going to show you, if you take your time and do it neatly, it will look fantastic. So another little tip from me, when you finish taping, a lot of guys will pull that, it will then stretch, and that's when that will start to peel off. So I was taught this by a cable jointer. Cut that off there with your side cutters, okay, and then it won't ever peel back. Good old Desi, if you're watching. Alright, here we go, nicely taped up. Both drain holes have been drilled out from the back, so you're not actually going on the angle, so the rating of the enclosure around the bottom is still correct. It's the back that's actually got the hole in it. It's very hard to see, but someone said to me about if you're jet washing, yeah, you could jet wash this and it wouldn't get wet, no problem whatsoever. So there we go, we can now just connect that one up, and then that's that one done at least. So I'll just run you through what I'm actually doing if any of you are still confused about this teeing off of a radial. So we had the live neutral and earth on the board coming in here, which we still do. It then went off to the garage. Rather than putting one cable in and teeing off to that socket over there, I've put two cables in, so the radial will come in. It can go to this socket first, it doesn't matter, and then we connect that one in with it, okay? That will take the feed over to here. That will take the feed to here, that socket there. It then jump back down that cable. Okay, effectively coming up this one. This will then just be connected to the garage in some way, goes in the back of the socket. Alright, so it comes in, goes out along, comes back, goes to the garage, and then in the garage will just be end of line again. So we're going to sort this one out and then we'll go into the garage. But first, we're going to wash all this brick dust away. IP66. I get this one a lot, dressing armoured cables in, so now rather than having a fixed a floating socket where we could make the armoured off and then just put the socket where it ends up, we've actually got to have a bit of skill and measure what we're doing here. So put your gland in with your lock ring and then take the gland apart, okay? Again, one-handed is near on impossible. So take the gland apart, leaving said bit of gland. Grab your armoured, okay, and you want to follow the sweep of that other cable, keeping it as neat as you can. So when it looks right, okay, it looks right, I'm going to put a little bit more bend in that, but it looks right. Then you need to put your thumb on there, give it a little mark. You can get a screwdriver or screw, and that's where you want to actually cut your SWA, not off because you need cable length. That's where you want to make the armoured gland off and then leave another 10 inches for connections, alright? I'm going to start charging you for these tips, I reckon. So if you're making off an armoured cable and you've got a long strand, maybe a metre, this isn't so bad, but I'm just using this as an example. Get a pair of cutters that you're not that bothered about. Rather than trying to twist off cables so long, get them to a certain length, bend them over and then just nip them off with your side cutters like so, and then you'll find that when you come to break your strands off like so, it's a lot easier to get a neat edge, and it saves you having that horrible bent over piece here where you kind of not scored it enough. But if you do it this way, if you've only gone through just a little bit, this will give you a nice finish rather than having that horrible hooked over end that you messed up. Well, as you can see there, my knife, I'll just put that blade away. Yeah, what was I saying? There's my interconnection now. So it's going to come from that house to that socket, back on this one, then to the garage. 32 amp rated Wagos. Yeah, I'm now going to leave this, go and do the one in the garage, because if I cut through the armoured, as I said, the neutral and earth still connected, it will trip the board there, and they'll lose half the house. So we'll leave that disconnected, and then we'll connect this one in last, and then do some testing. So here we are in the garage. I'll get rid of these clips first. And they're well, aren't they? Bloody hell. Cool. There's me slating them, and they're all right. So I just looked at the board, and this house was tested. This house was finished and tested in January this year. So what we're going to do is, so the armoured is unglanded, alright, it's been disconnected. I see what he did there. He's actually split the box a tiny bit. It doesn't affect it really. It just means there's a little tiny gap there, which I'll probably just glue, because I'm not going to take this gland out, because you can't undo that lock ring without taking that off. So I'll make my new armoured into that when it's in position. You have to do it when it's like that on conduit and stuff, when you can't untwist the cable. You have to physically make it into the conduit itself, metal conduit especially. So now we're just going to make this armoured off here, fit a socket, and then a small piece of armoured between. Just making off this this armoured with the old armour slice. I don't know if you've used them. They're really good. Just make sure you keep the blade nice and sharp, because you'll find that sometimes it won't cut the cores properly. It's a bit like hacksaw. Well, it is. It's a mini hacksaw, but it's a good design. I don't know if some of you know this. You do. But a lot of people that don't see these tools, if you look there, there's a little screw, spare blades in there. Look. Okay. So again, away from your thumb towards your chum. You can see I've got my socket up there ready to take the armoured. And what I was trying to tell you before, it's a bit hard one-handed, is cut these down like so. This piece of armour they've used is horrible. It's really old. Can tell by the way that that's already deteriorating. It's got a horrible, like it's like a rot on it where it's got wet. And you can see how that easy they come off with the armoured slice. I've got my glasses on because the hay fever is really bad and it just stops pollen going in my eyes. I'm not like a prima donna wearing glasses, sunglasses especially, but when I'm doing stuff. But so I'll just make this gland off, and then I think we've seen enough of this job, don't you? So a little tip, cut that. It doesn't even need armoured in here, but or a waterproof socket, but that's what I priced for, so I'll fit it. Doesn't matter where this client wants it, so I'd be more inclined to fit metal clad in here, but it doesn't matter. It is what it is. Right, gland back together. Don't forget that little olive. Obviously apprentices, you won't be using a Stanley, you'll be using an electrician's knife. Alright, easy as that, look. There's me gland, there's me bit of me gland, one up there. There he is. And this is a 2.5 armoured and it's a 20S size gland. Alright, waterproof. Little tip, put that on there, put your lock ring on, just to protect the threads, like so, and then give it a tap back down, and that will just give you a nice tight gland. Alright, again I learnt that from the same cable jointer. Yes, I'm using my adjustable, not my adjustable, whatever they're called, and I'm using my little XES. Have a go at me in the comments if you want, I don't mind. Okay, and then just do the waterproof inside of the gland up. Not that it needs it, but we do it anyway. Alright, that's one gland ready to be terminated. And obviously because I've got this little piece of armoured, it's going to be running between two plastic boxes. We'll earth that. We'll do it in this socket here. It's a lot easier than trying to fit it all in a little box. We do it in a big socket box, right? Armoured glanded in, got the short piece in, that's been replaced, and I've earthed down both my armoureds. Okay, one there, and you might say, why'd you do it like that? Because I just don't like drilling out of IP. It's in here, it doesn't matter. I know, but it just saves drilling that hole and having a bolt sticking out the bottom. Yeah, this is a good way of doing it, especially if you're, doing a TT and you're exporting the PME and you're putting an earth rod in. This is a good way of still banjoing in the armoured, but without having this little nut that's showing here. That's something I've learned while doing this. So yeah, that's earthed. That little piece earthed, that's earthed. We know that's continuous through our other armoureds because I've bolted them all together. So I'm going to get this wrapped up now. So I've took the screws out. That's got a captive nut on it, so that's fine. Look, completely sealed to the bloody wall. I think they're worried about what it looks like inside. Good, well done, yes! The board's tidy, but the quality of it is crap. Look how crap that is. If anything, I'd say it's freaking dangerous. He's put a wood screw in there because he's mounted the frame too far back. Look, that's why there's a freaking gap everywhere. There we go, all done. So, job finished. I forgot my iPad. So it's all scribbled on there. We had a ZS at the board of 0.22. It's on a PME. RCD 24.4 milliseconds. Installation resistance was absolutely fine. You'd expect it to be for a house that was sort of finished this year. R1, R2 was 0.71 to the furthest socket, and the earth loop was 1.12 on a 16 amp. So take care everyone, see you on the next one, bye.